On this inaugural episode of Overthinkr, we have Ezra Johnson-Greenough and Ben Love as our guests. We talk everything from pro wrestling, World Beer Cup, Oregon Beer Awards, and what brown ale has to do with the number 2 movement. Enjoy. They found us. I don't know how, but they found us. This is Overthinkr. Welcome in. This is our inaugural first ever show. We're really excited about. It's been a lot of work leading up to this. Yeah, this is the speech. And it's a live podcast. You know, we went into this wanting to do something a little different for the beer industry. But even beyond that, bringing together beer and other things, just like when you're sitting at the bar and you're talking about other things, you're not necessarily talking about beer the whole time that you're enjoying great beer, you're talking about everything else. So we want to talk about a whole lot of things. Beer's going to be a big part of it, of course. We're in a brewery, we're drinking beer, but we're gonna have a lot of cool, fun guests and unique conversation around it. Without any further delay, I want to introduce our guests today. Our first guest tonight is the owner and editor of New School Beer, owner of Portland Farmhouse and Wild Ale Fest, founder of Portland Fruit Beer Fest, founder and owner of Portland Beer Week, writer, director, producer, graphic designer, brown ale enthusiast, social media marketing for Grand Fur, label artist, photographer, talent scout, bartender of Portland Beer's Monday Industry Nights, reporter, key grip, owner, operator of Peche Fest, co-founder of Portland Beer and Cheese Fest, co-founder and awards ceremony director of the Oregon Beer Awards, U.S. ambassador to Zimbabwe, the pride of Franklin High School, hot sauce maker, Bloody Mary mixologist, brewer, home brewer, social media influencer, bodybuilder, sandwich artist, and cat dad, Ezra Johnson-Greenough. Woo!
Yeah.
And our other guest is Ben from Gigantic Brewing. How you doing, Ben?
Fantastic.
Great.
Yeah, I was wondering why you were looking at your phone. I was like, I think we've met before.
I just wanted to make sure I got it all. I just wanted to make sure that I covered everything. So thank you both for being our first ever guests on this show. This show is going to be broadcast out in a lot of different ways. You're going to be able to watch this on YouTube. So if you're listening right now, you can see us do this if you check out our YouTube channel. You can find us on Instagram and X and Facebook. It's Overthinkr without the E at the end. There's no ER, just an R, Overthinkr. And we'll be on all the, iPhone stuff and Spotify, all of that. So that's my plug. Thank you guys for being here. Brought you both in here today, and for a specific reason, that both of you are very involved with the Oregon Beer Awards, and feels like we're in the thick of award season, with Oregon Beer Awards having just happened about 3 weeks ago, and then now just last night, as of this recording and taping, World Beer Cup was just announced. So I want to talk to you guys first of all about Oregon Beer Awards, how that even just came to be, how your involvement came to be, and talk about some of the highlights of what happened that night. And then kind of in a vacuum, if we can, as the Oregon Beer Awards was last night, and talk about that first. Then we'll get into World Beer Cup and kind of how those things play off of each other and are related and whatnot, all that kind of stuff. So, Ben, you're the host with the most,
right?
At Oregon Beer Awards.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part of that night? Just this recent one, going back just a few weeks. Like, what stood out as you as the most fun?
Like like most of my life, my favorite part of that night was to tell John Harris to fuck off.
Okay. In what context did you tell this man, living legend, brewer of
I have no follow-up questions.
Full Sail and Deschutes ecliptic John Harris?
So actually, this is a great opportunity to get on the record about this.
Okay.
Because it's actually something that's been going on between us for quite a long time now, and he's the one who started it. By the way, it was not me, but like. So I have this event, Snack Down, which is a beer and wrestling and food themed event, and John was part of the original crew. And so as part of that whole wrestler versus wrestler thing that we had going on, then he walked up to me. He was like, "F you, Ben Love," and I was just like, "Yeah, he started it." And so then it's been this like continual tit for tat for years now. I think for like 5 or 6 years, and he. My favorite moment of this was actually, I think it was last year, the Oregon Beer Awards, that basically I stopped, just like this year, I stopped partway through the awards, and I was like, I have something to say. And he's always like in the third or fourth row, and so I look right at him, and I tell him that, And last year, I think it was the first time I did it at the OBAs, then he was like, he was with his whole Ecliptic crew, and I guess they all were like, "What was that about?" And
of course,
of course,
he just called out their fearless leader.
Yeah, it's somebody who we all look up to, in Oregon beer that's been brewing beer, and Northwest beer that's been brewing beer for a long time, and some amazing beers. And he just turned around and looked at him. He's like, "I don't know, I have no idea."
Oh.
He totally threw me under the bus, which is exactly what John Harris will do to you too.
Yeah.
Given the opportunity.
That's fantastic. Ezra, what was your highlight of that evening in terms of the ceremony and everything? And besides the videos, we know the videos were great.
Yeah. I mean, despite my role as one of the founders and ceremony directors, I do not try to oversee or have any knowledge of what Ben or Natalie are going to say. So I like to approach it as an audience member and see what kind of off-color jokes they're going to make and how much booze or cheers it gets. And so I was enjoying the high amount of booze this year. No.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter for me. Actually, I just want a response. Like if there's nothing, then I'm like, oh man.
No.
But if they're like, oh, everybody's upset.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
I mean that in the kindest sense. Like it's friendly booing,
Yeah.
But
of course,
I love to
jeering.
see. Yeah. It's like
jeering's great.
Yeah. There's always like some friendly but sometimes pointed barbs, thrown at some of the other breweries and references. There was one in particular reference that Ben made that I enjoyed, and I could kind of tell most of the people did not get it, but then I heard a few people kind of a delayed knowing
a beer award's worth saving.
Yes.
Was that? Yes.
That was great. And that was a great jab at yourselves at your own awards and everything.
Oh yeah, totally.
That it was a beer awards worth saving when.
I mean, there weren't a ton of there weren't as many sponsors as last year.
Yeah.
So it might be a beer awards worth saving. I don't know.
Oh no. I hope not.
Ezra could probably
Because literally even last night I was here at Vice Beer. This is where we record this live, and someone had just got off the plane from Craft Brewers Conference and World Beer Cup, and they were from the Washington Brewers Guild, and they came here to watch the World Beer Cup awards be announced. And our conversation was all around how Oregon has the best beer awards show. If you've never been, you should go. It's incredible. It really is not to pump you guys up too much, but it really is the most fun that can be had in this industry. It's just really a well put together schedule. The awards are announced by different sponsors that also sometimes bring their own fun to it. and Ben and Natalie Rose Baldwin from Wayfinder is the other host of the show, and you guys kill it. It's
Nice.
fun, and of course it puts a lot of beer into people who make beer. They are all there enjoying their craft, we'll say. And then they get to go on stage, and the gold medalist actually gets the microphone for 60 seconds to accept their award, which is unique. You know, all these other beer award things, it's like, come up here, get your medal, pose for a picture, get off the stage, let's go. You know, and it's just really neat that it takes the time to highlight these folks, and some gold comes out of those folks also just being on the microphone, accepting their award.
Slightly inebriated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was going to say on that particular subject, when we were originally kind of conceiving of the Oregon Beer Awards, like from the very beginning, like I always wanted it to have like a real award show and have that kind of vibe to it. And there was a lot of skepticism that would work or people would be into it. And the very first year, it wasn't really that. There was like a tiny award show at the Doug Fir Lounge, but there wasn't really like speeches. There wasn't much going on, and it was kind of a shit show. But enough people turned up that the powers that be, being Willamette Week, were like, yeah, okay, let's step it up and do it at Rev Hall. So that happened in the second year. And then there was a lot of talk like, should we just get people on and off the stage and make it quick? And I'm like, well, then why are we even here? Like, let's make it fun. And they're like, who knows what people are going to say? And I'm like, exactly. That's yeah.
That's the gold.
Yeah,
right
and
there.
it was, I mean, the whole like, everybody having a good time, basically. I'll just say that. That I remember the first OBAs that I went to at Revolution Hall, and as that thing was kicking off, and everybody was having a good time, and you know that's like a whole like 2-story hall. There's a whole balcony area, and to me, I was sitting in the upper area, and it reminded me of the scene from Tombstone where they're like in the theater. And they're doing like very nice, like Shakespeare, and you just have these drunken cowboys that are like shooting the ceiling and yelling at. I mean, that was essentially, that is the Oregon Beer Award experience.
That's the vibe.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Yep.
the Old West,
The
drunken Old West.
Yeah. No, I got to present an award, and I felt that like as I'm up there, I had what I was gonna say and everything, and I even forgot one of the things. I didn't deliver one of the things I was gonna do. Because there's just so many people yelling random things that caught my attention that I was just like, what? What was that? What's going on right now? But it was just an absolute blast. Lots of fun. Let's talk about the award winners. There were some
Sun River.
Sun River
Won all the awards.
Sun River won a lot of awards. The awards are scored to come up with a large brewery of the year, a mid-sized brewery of the year, and a small brewery of the year, right?
Yeah.
Is there another one? Is there a smaller category? Is it just those three?
No, I mean, but there's like regional brewing awards and stuff. But
There's that as well, yeah. And the regional brewing awards are decided by a panel.
The regional
Right.
brewing are actually voted on by the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's different. So it's not based on the beers they actually enter to the competition.
But the Oregon large brewery of the year, medium brewery of the year, and small brewery of the year, those are decided on by their medal count.
By the medal count, or just their overall point score and how far they get in the judging process. Yeah.
Oh, so they're even awarded points.
Yeah, and
for beers that didn't medal that made it to a final table, so to speak.
Yeah, and I'm not the math guy there, but there's even factors of how many beers did you enter is also a factor. You know, your percentage of success.
Hey,
yeah.
Well, that's actually pretty cool to know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of calculations that go into that.
Because a brewery is able to enter, is it 10 beers per brewing location, like brewing operation they have, right?
Yeah.
So like a break side that brews
Well,
on
now it's
Deacom
capped though.
and
It used to be like unlimited for that, and then there was some arguably warranted complaints that some breweries could enter way more because of the amount of brewing locations. So now there's an overall cap on how many anyone can enter.
okay.
But it's kind of,
makes
in my
sense.
opinion, it's kind of it's important, but at the same time, it doesn't really factor in because no one enters that max anyway.
Okay.
Like, for example, like
Really?
no, I mean maybe now that the max is lowered.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
But originally, like Michael was saying, it was 10
Yeah.
per location.
Uh-huh.
So it means many breweries could enter 30, 40
beers,
like McMinimans. I'm like, I don't know that anyone's entered more than like 10 beers or around that number ever, So
Okay. Well, that's good to know. That keeps the playing field fair. So you mentioned Sun River.
Yeah.
They were medium brewery of the year.
No,
right?
large.
No, they were large. Who was medium?
medium was Great Notion.
Great Notion. And small.
Small is Grand Fur. It was really cool because none of those breweries had won like small, medium, or large brewery of the year before.
And yeah, that's worth an applause for sure. Really cool. Sun River's making some bangers that I wish made it up our way more often than they do. Great Notion, of course, we have pretty good access to, and great beer all around. Great Notion surprised some folks in a category. You remember which category that was and what happened there?
It's funny, I do remember them. I can't remember the category. I'm the one who announced. No, I didn't announce that category.
You didn't.
Now I remember. I was supposed to. I had a joke for it because I knew the.
You read it backstage.
Yeah, I got I get all the awards the night before.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
But I'd read that and I was like, oh, I'm gonna make a hat trick joke. And but then Owen Lingley from Imperial Yeast ended up presenting that award. And so then I suggested the joke to him. I was like, I think it's kind of funny. And then he went up there and he's like, so while I was backstage, Ben Love told me about this joke, and we'll see if you guys think it's funny or not.
Ooh.
That's not a very good Owen Lingley impersonation, but that's the way I hear him. Yeah. And then he tells the joke, and it did get a laugh, so that was good.
Wait, tell the joke.
What was the joke?
It was a joke, but not a joke. Basically, to go up and be like, look down and look up and be like, you guys all ready for a hat trick? And then basically it's like, yeah, they won all 3 awards, which rarely happens.
I believe it was Haze Your Juicy IPA, wasn't it?
That they swept. Yeah,
They swept the entire entire category.
Yeah, it's appropriate. I think
It checks out.
Yeah.
It's on brand for sure. Grand Fur, obviously, did very well. Great beers. Zeppelin, we got to go out and do some filming with Grand Fur and refamiliarize myself with her beers. That's Whitney Burnside, who I originally met when she was with Pelican. She was with Elysian before that, and then Pelican, and then 10 Barrel, and then now her and her husband Doug have Grand Fur. It's you need to go there. You need to drink that beer. It is
it's really
really good beer. I know you have a little bit of bias there. One of the things, I don't know if you heard it on the list of all the stuff that you do, Ezra, but Ezra does some marketing things with Grand Fur, and that's got to be an easy gig.
it's nice because I've known Whitney for a very long time. I first met her when she was basically got like a internship brewing at Upright Brewing back when I worked at Upright Brewing in the early days. Mm-hmm. And before that, she had...
That wasn't on my list. Worked at Upright
you need to
in
go
the
back
early
further.
days.
Yeah. So that was... that must have been more than 15 years ago. Yeah.
You made some amazing labels for them.
Yes.
I've just looking at Ben's eyes, I feel like you're referring to one label in particular.
Yeah.
That was an amazing label. You know what label he might be alluding to, Ezra? Is there a label?
No.
I think it was Fatali 4.
Yeah, Fatali 4.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Fatali 4. Google it. Maybe without your children around.
What? No. Wait. You know what I just realized is I think that
Isn't that what
Michael
his beer
and
is
I
called?
thought you were talking about a more risque label, but you're talking about the
That's
other
what,
label.
Actually, when he said that, when he's like, you might be thinking about a label, it popped in my head, but I can't remember the name of the beer.
Yeah.
Oh, so
he's
it's not
actually
that
talking,
one.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
thinking
what I thought
about
you
a
meant at
different
first, but
label.
now I know
No.
obviously what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a series called Foreplay that was
That's
had
right.
some risque
Yeah.
labels.
There it is.
But the
right.
funny thing is, lesser known to some of us, but not to Ben, there was a beer called Blend Love that featured his Visage on it that I illustrated.
Yeah, it was during the whole, like, I don't even know, like, Alex did a series of beers, named after people or
Inspired by brewers.
Yeah, and I know he did one for Corey Blodgett.
Corey, there was even, I think it ended up being a Blend Edmonds from Ben
That's
Edmonds
right.
as well. Yeah, a few other ones. I think it was a
a
Vasily
smaller
beer
beer.
one.
So,
Yeah.
so the reason we were at Grand Fur to interview and film with Whitney Burnside was because of her history with Pelican Brewing Company, which is why we also met and filmed with Ben
right.
Love to
Yeah.
talk about Pelican Brewing Company. Because the new inductee to the Oregon Beer Hall of Fame was Darren Welsh from Pelican. What years were you at Pelican?
I was there from 2004 to 2007, and it was the first brewing job that I had there, or that I had. Sorry, it was my first brewing job, and he taught me. He really did. He taught me everything about brewing. And at that time, when I first started, it was just the two of us, and we made like I don't even know. I looked it up, but it was like 1,200 barrels of beer or something. Like it was just a little brewery. I mean, we were brewing beer
Yeah.
for the tap room.
And it was just that the on Pacific City, that little
Yeah.
system
Totally.
right there was all they had at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you went from there to give us your timeline.
Right? Yeah, I went
Yeah.
from there to Hopworks, and so I was.
And that
first,
must have been really early days for them.
I was the first employee,
Rad.
and so I actually helped do construction in the brewery. It was funny. That all came together because Christian and I had talked. I'm from the Portland area originally, so I was looking to move back to the city, and so Christian and I, he was basically like, when I start this thing, you're going to be the brewer, and then he went with a ride on a bike ride with Darren, and while they were riding, he was like, he wanted things to be cool because the industry was so small at that time, and so he's like, hey, just so you know, I'm hiring Ben Love from you. And Christian's like, oh, that's great. It's a great opportunity. When is he leaving? And so then it put a firm date on Christian on when I had to be hired. And what ended up happening is I ended up doing construction for 6 months. And helping build the place out, which was amazing. It was a great experience because I obviously never done anything like that before. And but it was great when I started my own brewery, having, I don't know, laid, done all
Right.
this.
So what year then was that you started building out your own brewery?
That was end of 2011, and we opened in 2012.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how did you have a partner in that brewery,
Yeah.
Van Hevig?
Van Hevig, yeah.
How did he come to be? How did that meeting?
Yeah, so Van and I knew each other through the Oregon Brewers Guild. We were both on the board of directors, and so we got to know each other better there. Like I said, the industry was quite a bit smaller than it is now, and we had a lot more events that we were doing still at that time. That went up right till 2020, but when we were hanging out, I'd always seek him out. We'd hang out, and he was working at Rock Bottom at the time, and him and I were chatting, and basically Rock Bottom sold to this large company, and they're like, nothing's gonna change. And then a few months later, they're like, all right, all you guys are gonna make the same 4 beers, and then you can do whatever you want with the other ones, but across the nation, Rock Bottom is gonna have the same 4 beers. And he was like, this is bullshit. Like you guys said you weren't going to change anything. One of the things that makes Rock Bottom great is that each location, because it's all around the country, brews beers for the local market. And he gave an interview to, I won't say the name if you don't want me to Brew Public.
I remember that reading. Yeah.
I think it had to be Angela. Yeah, that'd
it
be
was.
Angela at the
It
time.
was.
Yeah, totally.
I actually not sure that New School existed at the time, but I remember reading that.
Right? Yeah. So he gave an interview to Brew Public, which at the time was like, I don't know. This was like 2012 or something. Like, how many people were really reading blogs at all? Anyways, the CEO of the company, of like the whole holding company, found out about the interview and told the brewery manager that they had to fire Van.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Never heard the
It was
story.
great because it worked out because we started Gigantic. But also, what was great about it is that the guy who fired him, his brewery manager, also invested in our brewery. Yeah, that basically he was just like, I got to do this. It's in subordination.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So basically, at Van's kind of going away last day party at Belmont Station, then him and I had talked about he had possibly had something going on with somebody else that fell through, and so at that event, then I was like, hey, you and I should just get together and start our own thing, and and I think it was like basically it was a year from then when we started Gigantic, like when we opened the doors.
That's amazing.
So yeah.
Yeah. And so now Gigantic is 12 years old.
Yeah, 12 years old.
That feels weird for me to even say.
Right?
It still
I know.
feels newer than that.
Totally.
And that's
Yeah.
awesome. And you guys won awards at Oregon Beer Awards as well. Yeah.
In previous years, yeah.
In previous years,
Yes,
okay.
yeah, totally.
I thought for sure.
No, not this year.
Saw you
Yeah.
this year. No.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we won a handful of like awards for beers, marketing award.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Very cool.
most likely to succeed.
Ezra, what did you think about how the brown ale category turned out at Oregon Beer Awards?
Well, it turned out pretty well because I'll tell you this much: I was privy to the winners a couple weeks ahead of the ceremony, and I immediately went to the brown ale section, and I saw that Falling Sky Brewing in Eugene had a brown ale that won the gold medal, and later that day, I was at Belmont Station, and I'm just browsing, and I see that exact beer staring me in the face on the shelf. So I was like, this is kismet, We got married later that evening.
Amazing.
How many
It's
other
great.
brown ales do
Yeah.
they have on the shelf?
I set something aside for you. I saved it.
Oh, nice.
I saved the last can that we have of Better Than Ezra
Thank you.
that you could have tonight.
If I drink this, is it no longer anything better than me? Or
I think so. I think I think that is the last liquid that is better than you.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I know I've made it when last night the beer mongers made a post from the World Beer Cup of the brown ale
I saw
winners,
this.
tagging me saying I have work to do. So I'm moving to the Midwest.
Yeah.
Just to let you know right now.
Yeah.
Just drink brown ales. Yeah.
Beer mongers tagged Ezra during the viewing of the World Beer Cup as the brown ale category was announced and said, "You've got work to do in Ottawa and Wichita, Kansas."
Yeah.
There was one other city that I don't remember.
I feel like it was like Oklahoma or something like that.
It was out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Atlanta. Someone said Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Okay. South Carolina. Okay. South Carolina is where you got to go. You got your work cut out for you to catch up with the world's best brown ales.
Well, I mean, I'm excited to announce the National Brown Ale Association is sponsoring me to go on a trip.
So
It's your own organization.
we need to back this up for the listening and viewing audience. Somewhere around a year ago, Ezra started off on a mission, a vendetta, a crusade for
a holy war. Yeah. Yeah.
a holy war for the resurgence of brown ale. Tell us why this is happening.
Yes, please tell us why.
I mean, I don't know why everyone's laughing. It's not funny. It's not funny at all.
My wife loves brown ales, actually. She's one of your biggest supporters, actually.
Yes. See?
I don't think you knew that.
No, I did not know that, but this all makes sense now. This makes sense why I get along so well with Andrea. I mean, what needs to be said? Brown ale is delicious. Everyone loves brown ale that has good taste in beer. Yet, I don't know, these kids today want, milkshakes. I don't know. Well, what can I tell you? Brown ale is beautiful.
Brown ale is beautiful. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong that they are delicious. Why do you think they, just among the sales data, not that I'm a research analyst.
I talked with the brewer from Lowercase Brewing a year or so ago, and he was somehow brown ale came up. I think it's that they make a brown ale, and Lowercase, they're in Seattle.
Yeah.
And I was like, how much brown ale do you guys sell? Because Andrea has always talked to me about you guys should make brown ale. She loves brown ales. And I think he said they brewed like a 10-barrel batch and it lasts pretty much the whole year. So there's people that drink it.
There are.
I do find its popularity might not be that great here in like Oregon and California, but like even when I was just in like Seattle a month ago, just randomly I ran into like 3 different brown ales on tap. If you look in the Midwest, there's like brown ales everywhere. I mean, it's yes. Thank you. I mean,
Don't say that.
The West Coast is very obsessed with following the latest flavors, and that's great. I mean, it's one of the best things about this region. But some things can be lost in the shuffle, and I do think they eventually make their way back. And I don't know about you, but it's hard for you to dispute that brown ales are coming back when you made one.
We did.
As a joke.
As a joke, actually.
About you.
Yes.
I'll tell you.
Entirely.
Well, it wasn't like a single can, Ben. It's
Actually,
beyond
this is a good question. How well did it sell compared to your other beers?
It sold really quickly.
yeah,
It did.
Fuck yeah.
But there's a little method to the madness behind that. I mean, we knew once Ezra started trolling with his comments in the Facebook group Beer Nerds. He's was pretty regularly trolling about brown ale and particularly poking at me on a number of occasions about brown ale. And I made a decision months and months ago. I was like, I'm going to make a brown ale and name it after this turd. So then I kind of started doubling down on my hatred for brown ales.
Yeah.
So anybody who posted a brown ale in the group, I would go call it names and call it an obsolete style and compare it to vomit and other things, and just kind of played that up till it really hit its crescendo that we released Better Than Ezra on Ezra's birthday. At Belmont Station, and somehow, sorry, not Belmont Station, it was at Beer Mongers. I get my B tap rooms intertwined sometimes. It was at Beer Mongers, and somehow snuck it by him the whole time, because actually the cans there had been social media posts about it and everything already, because to get the cans to Beer Mongers, we had to give it to our distributor, who, they're not going to be like, oh, okay, because it's Ezra's birthday, we're going to just hold on to this pallet of cans.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, they should have.
Yeah, they didn't. They had the cans out everywhere, and
they clearly blocked me from seeing anything about it.
I don't know how you didn't pick up on it, but it was pretty great.
It's because I unfollowed Vice on all accounts because you weren't making brown ale.
Yeah, that's it. That's probably why. But no, yeah, it was fun because we walked into Beer Mongers and Allie from Swift Cider was there and was like, Ezra, it's your birthday. Look, they have your beer on, and Ezra was just like, what? The video's in Beer Nerds. You can search Ezra's name, and it's probably in that Facebook group. It's probably the first thing that'll pop up.
Nice.
So it was pretty funny. It was a good time.
I knew there was something going on though anytime you see Michael holding his phone like lower on his body than anyone would look at it. Like my first thought is he's like shooting like some inappropriate photos. It's usually inappropriate video. Just be aware, there's something's gonna happen.
But before we move into talking about World Beer Cup, I have one more question about the OBAs. How instrumental and impactful was the influence and involvement of Martin Sismar in the creation of Oregon Beer Awards and its legacy today?
I think that's the whole reason Ben Love's involved. He was inspired by his legacy.
My legacy of hatred for Martin Sismar to try to make it better since he's left.
It all goes back to Sismar's like review on the Abominable Ale from Hopworks. Yeah, if I have to give some context for that, one of the first things Martin Sismar wrote for Willamette Week was a review of Hopworks' Abominable Ale, which basically amounted to, this is not a winter beer. It's not spiced. Where's darkness? Where's the clove?
Yeah, and I was like, you're so right. I have never heard of another winter beer called Sierra Nevada Celebration. Yeah.
Right. Which is also not spiced at all. A very bright, hoppy ale.
Martin, yeah. You're so, yeah.
So
Yeah.
that for, again, just so to loop everybody in on the conversation, Martin Sismar was probably Portland's greatest clickbait artist. He knew how to get people to read articles by having very polarizing opinions.
No, totally.
Hot takes.
Yeah, so many of his things read that way. That's exactly what he was looking for. Yeah, just to walk into a town where everybody loves themselves, and especially like an industry like ours where everybody's so friendly, and be like,
And just
I'm gonna
rip
be the guy.
somebody.
Totally, exactly. Yeah.
The first time I ever talked to Martin Sismar was, a few of his early reviews had came out, and I criticized them online, and I'll never forget this. One day I was at the gym, and my phone was ringing, and it was like this 503 number, so I was like, I'll check it, and it was like hello, and it was like, is this voice is like, is this Samurai Artist? Because that's my old email handle.
Yep.
And I'm like, is this a joke? Like, who's calling? And he's like, it's Martin Sismar from Willamette Week. I know who you are. I'm like, oh, what's up, man? And he's like, I found out your real name and I got your number. I'm gonna like unveil you to the public. And I was like, oh, good. Yeah, it's gonna be real shocking to everyone. No one knows who I am. Yes, I'm anonymous. Like, I mean, just tells you how little he knows about the industry. He's just like, I'm going to unmask you. And I'm like, okay, good luck with that, Martin. But later, and everything everyone's saying is true, I did become a little bit more friendly with him once I was just kind of like, I'm not putting up with your bullshit. And the true story of part of how the Oregon Beer Awards came about was one day, I think it was at a media preview we were both at, he started telling me about some kind of idea he had to do some kind of beer awards, because he had got Willamette Week to do like Sismar's top 10 beers of the year and have a little event around it, and he wanted to expand it, and he started kind of telling me his dumb ideas about how to do that. And I've been thinking about doing real like awards for many, many years. Like, I've been thinking about it all the time, and I was like, So I just kind of laid out my idea, and he was like, oh, I guess that's a better idea. And he took it to Willamette Week, and they said yes on a very small scale. And
Wait a second. So you're telling me that my joke question about how influential and instrumental Martin Sismar was in the creation of the Oregon Beer Awards, the answer is that he actually was instrumental and
he was totally instrumental in making it a reality. He never had a hand in producing it or running it or any of the creative of it. But he was truly instrumental in being like, hey, this is a good idea, and like pitching it up, which made it happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
wow. I learned something. I'm learning things all the time already.
Yeah, I don't remember that either.
I just remember the first year I went, I didn't know who he was. He got introduced on stage to say something, and the vitriol. It wasn't jeering. It was like anger.
Yeah, just anger
and
in the
I was
room.
like, oh, who is this
Everybody
guy?
gets tense.
And
Yeah.
and of course he had some hot takes that got booed and whatnot as well. He's no longer in the area. I don't know. I forget where he is now, but he's moved
got
on
like
to
a
other things.
high-end job in the Midwest. I think he works for Condé Nast now.
Yeah. Is that where he's at? Because I thought he went to a clickbait like site for a while. Actually, he like managed a clickbait site. He showed his chops. Yeah, he worked on his chops in Oregon, and now he's like,
Yeah.
What's funny is I ended up hosting the awards because, in a roundabout way, because of Martin Sismar, because the previous host, who I thought was amazing and made me laugh, I think he's way funnier than we are, Herb Apon, did this amazing monologue, like mid-show, that basically tore apart Martin Sismar. And there was other things in it too, but it was hilarious, and the industry a bit as well. It was really funny, and that was his last year. Okay, and that was So that's how I got the call.
That was also the last time Martin ever showed up at Oregon Beer Awards.
He was like a special guest that year, right? Like
Well-
he wasn't with Willamette Week anymore.
Was it? It was. I thought he was. Maybe
So I
he
felt like
wasn't.
he had left at some point and then came. Like he wasn't around.
Yeah,
and
you
then
might be
came back.
right. I remember that being like Herb had actually suggested he wanted to do like this roast event where we do a roast of different people, and he
Right.
wanted to do a roast of Sismar at Loyal Legion, and it never quite came about. So I think he was. I hope I'm telling the story right, but this is the way I remember it. Was that he was like, I'm just going to do a mini surprise roast of Martin
midway.
Sismar at the.
And
at
everybody
the,
ate it up because everybody, all the brewers, the whole audience there, like didn't like him, so they thought it was hilarious.
Yes.
And yeah, so it
Fantastic.
goes. Yeah.
We blew past my intended segue for World Beer Cup, but let's talk about World Beer Cup anyway. I had no idea that would elicit such a conversation, but that I'm happy for it. I'm glad it happened. World Beer Cup that happened last night.
They got sashes this year.
They did. They changed the way the awards look. So
Yeah.
even the awards, like World Beer Cup awards, were kind of weird looking for a while. They were like embossed, glossy images of a trophy on a piece of paper that was framed.
Yeah.
And like you hung that on the wall. And now it's actually you got a sash, which was cool. I saw the sashes that they were putting on them on stage.
I don't know if "cool" is the right word. Like they're definitely like they were fun.
It's fun. Yeah. No,
They're
I mean,
entertaining.
I think cool in
Looked like a
terms of like, I
bachelorette
think it's a
party
good
or something.
idea.
Yeah, totally.
The-
Yeah, because it's in Vegas, and so it's like
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It was in Vegas. You
was
have,
funny.
the bachelorette parties and things going around
Totally.
Vegas and all of that. So,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I just imagine last night in Vegas had to be an absolute hoot
Oh, yeah.
with all these people wearing these sashes for the awards that they won. I thought it was pretty cool. And then the other little thing they gave them was it looked like a wall piece, kind of a thing that was
Slash like bubble, like voice bubble
something.
that you could write something in.
It kind of looked like a voice bubble in a way, yeah. But it was an interesting looking award. I thought it was pretty neat.
But we were talking about it on the way over here actually, and we were debating about whether or not you still get the plaque as well.
Oh,
And now we're wondering actually, like
I don't know.
do you also get the plaque that because they would always. Did they give you something? Yeah, no, they would give you the award. They would give you the award there. Yeah, totally. But they gave you something. Yeah. Oh, Sean's saying there is a plaque too. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
there is a
So
plaque.
you get 3 things now.
Our producer Sean says they are mailing it to you.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping when I go to Breakside, Milwaukee, and I see that wall of medals, I see a sachet hanging.
A sash
Yeah.
up there as well. Yeah, yeah.
You don't think they'll just wear it around? It'll be like the brewer of the day gets to wear.
So Breakside won on the world stage, and in fact, Oregon beer did incredibly well on the world stage. Last year they did, Last year they did 22 medals. Last year, this year 29 medals just for the state of Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a clean sweep in one of the categories too.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
10 barrel for German sour. So your Berliner Weiss kind of style beers swept the entire category. Between there, how many breweries does 10 barrel have now? There's East Side and West Side in Bend. There's 2 there.
They're down a lot across the country because they've closed a lot. But yeah, I think there's 3 in Oregon. Yeah.
Okay. There's one in Boise. It's
one
still
one in Boise,
still
but I
cooking
think
in
they
Boise.
closed San Diego, Denver, and yeah, it might be it now.
Okay. So let's talk about 10 barrel for a second. 10 barrel, famously, was it 2015 that they were 2015, 2016? They were sold to or bought by Anheuser-Busch, AB InBev. And a lot of beer folks, the beer community, had mixed feelings about that.
Not so mixed.
Yeah, I would say mixed. Yeah.
Not so mixed, I guess. A lot of people really didn't like that, despite the fact that they continued to win great awards, and the beer continued to be brewed by phenomenal brewers. I think all of us here would agree. Like Whitney Burnside's incredible. We talked about her Grand Fur Brewing earlier. We'll talk about that some more. She won three awards last night at World Beer Cup as well, and Tanya Cornett, previously with Bend Brewing Company, and then 10 Barrel. Amazing brewers. That it was difficult. I'll call myself out on being one of the ones that was like, no, I don't like this Anheuser-Busch involvement.
Yeah.
I don't like the games Anheuser-Busch plays when it comes to distribution. That's really where my beef is. I can't complain that Anheuser-Busch, bought them all the greatest ingredients and things like that. I can't complain that they, from what I've heard, take care of their employees pretty well. That's a good thing. But it was the, they even, I believe it was at Boise State University that a lot of fines were levied against the distributor there for all just invading the campus and giving away swag and giving, and just like all of these tactics that craft brewers couldn't play that game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. At the end of the day, it's like it's one of those. When everybody went over there, I felt like I was told Whitney and and everybody over there that like we were always supporting them. That we support them as brewers. They're obviously part of our community.
Right.
It's just like, well, they're at 10 Barrel, then, or yeah, I guess it's part of AB. It's part of a larger corporation. Like those guys, the only way they look at the world is domination. You know, they aren't a community organization. You know, they don't play well with everybody else. And so like, yeah.
The only 10-barrel beers I had during that time, I would do the research and be like, well, is this one of the one-off kind of beers that Whitney did at the Pearl? I'll drink that. You know, is this something from Tanya that is one-off kind of a thing? Like, okay, but you know, if it was at the grocery store or at the local Applebee's or something, no.
Right.
You know, that was kind of that was my approach.
And don't touch pub beer. Don't touch pub beer. It's really bad.
What about pub ice though?
Did they really make pub ice?
Yeah,
I've never had it. Is it good?
New thing. I mean, I was hoping you'd tell me.
So one of the jokes that we had at the OBAs was about how bad pub beer was, and I challenged anybody that works for 10 Barrel or anybody else to come tell me that it was a well-made good beer. You know, I was like, I'm not talking about your other beers. We all know you win awards. You know, like you guys make fantastic beer. Just that one beer, and it was because of a bad. Yeah, I had it and it was really bad. It was like as simple as that. Trying to be nice here. But like when they came up, then I was talking to God, and Jimmy, right?
Jimmy Seifert?
Yeah. I was talking to Jimmy, and he's like, no, it's okay. He's like, yeah, it's not very good, but we're gonna start brewing it at Woodmer. It's gonna be really good then. He's like, just wait. So I actually honestly, like when I had it, it was the Timbers game. I was like, oh, they're out of Freem Pilsner. Grab a pub beer, no big deal. It's gonna be good. It's made by 10 Barrel. Yeah, it's their cheap beer, but it should taste fine. It should taste great. It should be clean and crisp. It was not. It was not at all. It was, yeah.
Speaking of Freem beer won gold last night for German Pils. It really is a go-to Pils. It really is.
Amazing.
It's very much a go-to. Right behind them, in the silver in that category was also a Northwest brewery. Do you guys remember who that was?
I don't.
It was Sea
I would be guessing.
Sea
Oh
Pine.
yeah, I do see that.
Sea Pine out of
Where
Seattle.
Seattle, yeah.
So yeah, there were some surprises in there. Like, let's zoom out the whole Northwest. There were some surprises out of Washington. 3 medals were won by a new brewery that. It's not even a new brewery. They've actually been around 5 years, and their name escapes me.
I thought this
Formula Brewing. Formula Brewing out of Issaquah.
Yeah, I did notice that. I didn't notice how many they won, but I did hear that, and I was like, oh, weird. I've never heard of them.
Yeah, they I hadn't heard of them either. And that's for as much as you and I both, and the three of us all keep our finger on the pulse of this industry and what's going on in the Pacific Northwest. The fact that there was a Washington brewer that not only won but won 3 times was like, where's this coming from? I looked into it a little bit. I found out that just about a year ago they hired a new brewer there named Jesse Brown, and he comes from Machine House, is where he was at last, and before that he was at Chainline. So I did some cyber stalking to figure out what's going on here.
Which categories did they win in?
I wish I could remember them all. One of them was a stout, and I don't actually recall the other.
Was there an
two.
ESB one in there? I feel like
Maybe.
I feel like I saw him.
Maybe.
Yeah, probably
Not sure.
more English focused.
Are you hoping they make a brown ale?
I mean, they better if they want to stay relevant and capitalize on those awards,
Got to make brown ale to stay relevant.
Yeah.
Ben, I'm out of beer. I see you have beer over there.
I do, yes. Yeah, shameless plug. You did
Pass me
mention
something.
earlier that it's our 12th anniversary coming up here.
Yeah.
And I actually, thank you. And I brought some of, we rebrewed our 12th beer High Fidelity IPA, which is one of our favorite beers we ever made. And so I brought some of that. This is like the debut.
Okay. I'll bring it on. Bring it on. Digging in the cooler, and here we go. High Fidelity. I like it. I like it.
All right.
I like the art. It's cool. It's a cool can. I will hold it up in a second.
Hey, you didn't ask me to hold up.
Producers are like,
my brown
shake
ale.
it, shake
What the
it.
hell? Did you get that?
Yeah,
I think that's what they were doing.
don't overshadow Ezra's brown ale. Yeah, this is High Fidelity right here. Beautiful can. And canning
Yeah.
is not something Gigantic has done
No.
previously
Yeah.
to like 2 months ago.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
I don't know if you heard, but cans, we were in bottles for a long time, and cans, it's what everybody wants to buy their beer in now. I don't know if you do that.
I did, actually.
We just found out.
I was up on
we're
cans
in
and brown ales.
We're in deep southeast Portland, and the word finally got down to us down there that everybody's drinking beer in cans.
Exactly.
You guys are giving me shit about brown ale. You just figure out cans.
So tell me a little more about
Yeah.
this beer. I'm reading about it contains high fidelity hops.
That's pretty much all you need to know.
That's all you need to know. Okay.
It's funny we actually do talk more about like the hops that we put in beer. We'll call them out or whatever. I feel like in our descriptions now. But for the first I don't know how many years of the brewery, we were just like, yeah, the description was meant for us to have fun and to not really to talk about the beer while not talking about the beer the whole time. You know, we were basically like, hey, listen, like Van's been brewing for I don't know a long time at that point. I had been brewing for quite a while at that point, and we're like, we make pretty good beer, so you guys should just like buy it and drink it and like it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We don't need to tell you what's inside the can. Actually, a lot of breweries don't even have any kind of description. That's kind of blows my mind. Is that
There
you
really
look at a
are.
can.
Yeah, there really
Yeah.
are like two schools of thought on that, and I think part of it goes towards like what your approach is, who you're trying to market it to. Beer can be a commodity. It can be something
description.
that you just pick up. You know, yeah, it does. It says it was brewed the day hell froze over. It says on the side there it has
It says,
fermentation.
government warning, according to the Surgeon.
We have a description on there. It says it's
Brown ale, brewed the day hell froze over.
It says that it was brewed in tank number 2, which is the only fermentation vessel you should make a brown ale in is number 2. It's right there. That one.
That's not brewed at the silo overturned in the street there?
No. Yeah, no, not all of our labels at Vice have we don't have like big descriptions about like what flavors you should get and things like that.
Right.
My approach is more for, I think, you know, we're trying to make beer for more of the beer nerd that is interested in the hops and things. They want to see what hops are in it and stuff like that. I don't want to necessarily tell them what flavors they should get out of those hops. I think particularly the IPA enthusiast has kind of already like narrowed down what hops they're looking for, and I think that's part of how they buy is, you know, they're I think right now New Zealand hops are pretty hot, so they see the Riwaka, Motueka, Nelson, like they that's what they're going for.
Yeah.
But I think there's total value in the other approach too, of like, hey, here's what this might taste like, or here's just the story behind the beer. We're celebrating an anniversary. You could have a
Right.
description that just talks about that. And as an anniversary beer, yeah, you probably don't need to get too into the weeds. You can have fun with it because beer is fun too. So there's just these different avenues and ways to approach it that, you know, the beer industry is not as I don't know the term for it, maybe like homogenized as, say, wine. Like wine's got to be really like, what region was this made in? What grapes are involved? And what year did it go to barrels? You know, like it's so like beer's kind of all over the place. We all
Right.
take our different approach to it and go.
Yeah, you don't talk about like the salts that you use. You don't talk about, it's all just hops, malt, yeast, maybe.
Yeah.
But you don't talk about all those other things that go into a beer that
There's a
can
lot of other
definitely-
things, it turns out.
Yeah.
One of the things in that realm that I enjoy about beer right now is that people care a little bit less about how high IBUs and alcohol things are in general.
IBUs are dead.
Yeah, I mean,
IBUs
which I
are
think
dead
is
to
I think
me.
is a great thing.
Which is
It's
great.
always misleading. Yeah, number.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. I have my thoughts on it, but so why is IBU a misleading figure?
I mean, it could be, well, for one thing, most IBU counts on beers were not actually scientifically counted. It was
McKellar made a
Yeah.
1,000 IBU beer.
I'm
I
sure.
mean, there's like if you've homebrewed a beer before too, you can look at what the projected alpha acids are on a 2-ounce bag of pelletized hops and do some very basic mathematical calculation that says your beer is 60 IBUs. If you actually sent that to a lab and had it tested, it's highly inaccurate. But also, that's the amount of IBUs in a beer does not translate to the perception that you get from drinking a beer.
And a lot of that perception is because of residual sugars and things in the beer. I've found
Yeah.
you can have a 60 IBU 5% pale ale, and the perceived bitterness is higher in that because there's less sweetness behind it than an 8.5% double IPA that everybody is like, oh, this is 90 IBUs, and they're like, oh man,
Oh,
this
so
is so
sweet.
bitter.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, yeah, that's a lot of. It's very sweet. There's a lot of sugar was involved to reach that alcohol by volume.
Yeah.
That's why I just kind of go. We get the question here at Vice Beer every day. Where's your IBUs? And have to
Yeah.
kind of explain to people, like, you know what? How about we give you a splash of it and you taste
Yeah,
it?
you
and
try-
You,
you
tell,
decide.
you tell us if it's bitter.
Yeah, I mean, when we started Gigantic, then we really resisted putting IBUs on like anything that we did, just because of the fact that it has nothing to do with the intensity of the hop aroma or flavor. Which is, I actually thought it should come up. We should have like a single tester, and they decide how many international flavoring units there are of hops. And so like it would go to that one person, and then they would decide where because you could only have one person, or you'd have to have people that were
that
trained
person's palate would be
so that they're
wrecked.
all on the same palate. Yeah.
How many IPAs a day can they drink before?
But that would be the right
They can't
way.
taste anymore.
That would be the right way to determine, the way that we make IPAs now, because that's the whole thing, is that like the whole IBU, knowing the IBUs is for Budweiser. It's like how many IBUs are in Miller Lite? Probably like 9. How many IBUs are no. I thought Sean was saying no to my 9 IBUs in Miller Lite.
He's like
There's
3.
one IBU.
21. -4. But Budweiser, I don't know, like 18 or whatever, but it's all that's what IBUs are for. And maybe the way we made IPAs way back when it was like all kettle hop. And so you really were going for that bitterness, and dry hop maybe didn't even exist. All the hops
Right.
went in the kettle, and like if you were like whirlpooling with hops late, that was just blowing minds. These times existed.
I know.
And then we started. Yeah. Anyways, it got more and more in the fermenter, largely dry hop, and then and just late additions. And so you're getting this really intense flavor and aroma, but IBUs, bitterness has nothing to do with it. And so,
Yeah, I mean, you could have a Pilsner right now that has 25 IBUs, and it'll taste more bitter than an IPA, depending on a certain IPA that's 60 IBUs,
all right.
Right.
But going back to when I used to do a lot more like pouring beer and was more active in the hospitality side. It was just a constant question of like how many IBUs, how much alcohol, only things that are higher, big number, better,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm glad that we've gotten away from that. Although, I mean, still hearing some form coming back with the stovepipe 19.2 ounce cans, but
Craft malt liquor.
yeah.
That's what it is.
Right.
At least we
right.
can have it all now.
9.5%,
It's not just
$2.99.
like a sign of quality, that you have that now,
Right.
which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think hazy IPAs kind of came in there.
they blew that way out.
2017. Yeah, and everything became late edition.
Yeah. So much hop and no IBU.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
people still wanted to know because everybody always just assumed that IBU was. That's the thing. Everybody, incorrectly assumed that IBU was an example. You would know how much
Hoppiness.
intensity of hoppiness there would be. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And so then it became one of those like I had that problem. I'd be like, I don't know what to put on this thing. Yeah, this hazy IPA is like 45 IBUs, but if I put that, nobody's gonna want to drink it. I gotta say that it's like 68.
Yeah.
And even though it was just we've been making up IBU numbers forever.
Right.
Right. Gigantic. Yeah. It's all fake.
That's
Let me
why
tell you
I
something.
said IBUs are dead. IBUs are dead. So Ben at Gigantic, you guys are coming up on 12 years. You've made a 12-year beer. Is there a party?
There's a party, yeah.
When's the party?
Yeah. So the party's on Saturday, May 4th. Oh, wow. Listen to that crowd.
May the
It's
4th
amazing.
be with you.
Holy shit. People are so excited. You can hear them
awesome.
from Oregon cheering there.
Yeah, they're everywhere. May 4th.
May 4th, yeah, May the 4th.
Perfect.
Yeah, totally. And it's, from noon to 6 at our brewery location.
That's the one off of Hawthorne, yeah?
26th and Steel.
26th and
Yeah, a
Steel.
little farther south, down by Reed
Okay.
College, yeah.
You have 3 locations now.
We do have 3 locations.
Tell
now,
us
yeah.
about those.
So we have the original brewery, the Gigantic Brewery Tap Room and Champagne Lounge.
I love it.
How much champagne do you sell
We
there?
Technically, if you want to be a stickler, none. Like, because it's all prosecco now. But like,
Can you change it to the Prosecco Lounge?
All right.
yeah, it's funny. I mean, we actually Steve Jones from Cheese Bar was like the one who we went to him and we were like, hey, will you like help us get our champagnes? And like he he helped us out with that. And then we have the Hawthorne location. Go back around.
Yeah. Hawthorne location's got great food.
Yeah, that's our first
awesome.
location with food, and then we have the Robot Room over on Gleason and 70th. Yeah,
Awesome. Fights break out.
that's right. yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
Tell us why that happens.
Our beer has too many IBUs.
It's the IBUs.
So we've been doing wrestling now,
Awesome.
every other month since like last fall, and it's amazing. Yeah, we have so much fun. So it's Anarcho Pro Wrestling that puts together shows, and those guys are amazing. And they bring a full-size ring that we put up in the barrel room, and it's
Fantastic.
standing room only. And so there's the wrestlers, which you guys go to our Instagram page and like check out.
I've seen the videos.
Some of the videos,
I can't wait to go.
They're really great. Yeah, they're amazing.
It's
Last
so
time,
rad.
one of the guys came off the top barrels with a trash can on his head. Yeah, exactly.
People
They're
flying
gutsy.
around and fighting each other in the middle of a brewery. It's a beautiful thing. So today is the NFL draft is happening as we record this, actually. And I thought we'd have a draft of our own right here, the three of us. We would each put together our fearsome threesome of pro wrestlers from the 80s and 90s. You're limited to the 80s and 90s of pro wrestling, and I'm gonna take the first draft pick. We're gonna have 3 rounds, so that we're gonna end up with 3 wrestlers each, and you get to draft.
Mike, you gonna take my pick?
Maybe. I'm gonna take the first pick of the draft. Okay. So, be back with the first pick of the draft.
Got some Jeopardy music you can play in the segment.
It's good. Yeah, no dead air on the podcast.
Oh, yeah. With the first pick of the draft, I'm taking the Macho Man, Randy Savage. So you don't know anything about the Macho Man, where I'm coming from. I take the Macho Man.
I'm not gonna attempt to do an impression. I'm sorry. Was it Macho Man retired when Modern Times Portland closed? I don't know. I don't think you can do that anymore. If you didn't get that reference, it was
Macho
Macho
Man passed away before that, actually. Go ahead. I got Macho Man. You're up.
Well, I mean, the obvious for me is Andre the Giant.
Okay. All right. That's a good one. Oh, the ladies in the room really clapped for
Yeah.
that. We got some Princess Bride fans in the house. No,
Well, I'm not as
I know
big
that's why
of
my
a-
wife lit up when he said Andre the
Princess
Giant.
Bride, amazing. When I think of him, I think of that, and I also think of the story. I think it was that he drank 100 beers in one night.
Yes, it
More
was.
than that,
It
yeah.
may have been more than that.
Yeah.
It was incredible. A beer in that man's hand looked like nothing. Nothing. He really was a giant. It was incredible. Ben, you're on the turn. So the way this works is it goes 1, 2, 3, and then it comes back the other way. And then, so you get 2 picks right now.
Oh, I get to, oh, shit.
Yeah, you get pick number 3 of the first round, and then you get pick number 1 of the second
Oh,
round.
right on. Hell
Yeah, it's a snake draft.
As a Macho Man Randy Savage lover, as I know you are, you know that the cream always rises to the top, brother. So
Yeah.
I should have brought creamers with me. I wish I would have brought some creamers with me. Goddamn.
Well, yeah.
I should have known this was coming. But
I didn't bring creamers, but
actually, yeah. Everybody out there, if you've never seen this,
I didn't bring creamers, but I did bring you both a Slim
I'm
Jim.
gonna do a Slim Jim. Yeah. All right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, brother. Yeah. If you never watched, once you get done watching this, go over to YouTube and check out, Macho Man.
Cream of the crop.
rises to the top.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. That guy was incredible.
He's the best.
So I gotta give it up for my hometown. And number 1, fucking Rowdy Piper. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Okay, Rowdy Piper. Who's your next pick? First pick of the second round.
All I gotta say is, woo! Gotta go with Ric Flair.
Okay, all right. I love it. I love the impressions we're breaking out here as well. This is fantastic.
It's your turn, Ezra. Come on, you can do it.
Ric Flair.
Oh man. I mean, I'm not a wrestling geek like you guys. I don't know. When I was a kid, I mean, it was all about Hulk Hogan. You know, I gotta go. I can't even remember the movie. There was some really bad movie that he was in. I'm gonna have to look it up, but it was kind of action movie.
What was that? It was Mr. Mom or something like that. He was. There was Suburban
I
Commando.
think that's what it was. Yeah.
I will say my pick
Okay.
was in an amazing movie, They Live.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys have that in the Vice catalog
No
over
Suburban
here?
Commando. I don't know.
I don't think we do. I don't think we have
I'll
that
get that for you.
VHS yet. We do have a lot of wrestling VHSs, though. We've literally had 2 different individuals drop off boxes of wrestling VHSs here. It's pretty great. Okay, so now I have 2 picks because I'm at the end of the second, and then we turn around the other way. I'm gonna go with Mr. Perfect. I enjoyed Mr. Perfect's antics growing up, and then the other pick on the way back around. Gosh, we're going 80s, 90s. I'm gonna take the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh shit!
I'm gonna take the Ultimate Warrior. You're back up, Ezra.
Well, I can't believe he's not been picked yet, but obviously Hacksaw.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who we met. I was with Ezra
Hacksaw
when
Jim
we
Duggan.
met him in Denver during GABF at one of my favorite beer events on the planet, the Beer Hall Brawl, which was incredible. It was a pro-am group of wrestlers from the Denver area there, of course, but Hacksaw Jim Duggan was there. He had his 2x4. The wrestling was crazy. If you've ever been to Bierstadt beer hall in Denver, it's 2 levels. The bar is up on the 2nd level, and you overlook the brewery. So they're wrestling down in the brewery, and there's stairs that come up to the bar. And this whole wrestling thing's going on, and the show, the match, spills out of the ring, up the stairs into the bar, and they're literally like grabbing chairs from people and throwing them at each other and hitting each other with them. There was like this whole cabinet of board games in the bar that one guy just gets chucked into, and the pieces and board games go everywhere. And at that moment, I realized the staff is not in on this. Because the bartenders were so mad. Immediately, they were just terror entered their faces as they realized like all these game pieces and all this stuff went everywhere. Guess who has to clean this and find all the pieces? Yeah. Go.
I actually have a
Hacksaw Jim
2x4 from Hacksaw.
Wow.
Yeah.
Signed by Hacksaw?
It is signed by Hacksaw.
That's fantastic. Ben, you got the last pick.
All right. I'm gonna go with somebody who I loved both as a like real human wrestler and as a cartoon. Sergeant Slaughter.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That is a good last pick. Many a young boy had that GI
Right?
Joe as well.
Yeah, that's
It's
what I knew about him
fantastic.
through GI Joes way before wrestling.
Yeah. So I ended up with Macho Man, Hulkster, and Mr. Perfect. Sorry. No, you have the Hulk.
How dare
I
you.
read this wrong.
Still in my
I ended up with Macho Man, Mr. Perfect, and the Ultimate Warrior.
making that up like IBUs.
Yeah. You ended up with Andre the Giant, the Hulkster. Those are both 2 very big, large people. And gigantic even. And Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And Ben, you ended up with Rowdy Piper, Ric Flair, and Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah.
We'll have a poll up on our social media at Overthinkr, and you guys can vote on which tag team of 3 came out on top here.
Nice.
And take a look at that. Speaking of wrestling and beer, Ezra, Portland Beer Week, when's it happening?
June 16th through 23rd. Yeah, it's shaping up. Got some news. I'd love to promote the New Oregon. Actually, not. It used to be New Oregon Brewery Showcase, but now it's just going to be the New Brewery Showcase because we're bringing in more Washington breweries.
All right.
That I put together
cool.
every year. We're going to have quite a few Washington breweries in it this year. including one I'm really excited about, Human People beer coming out of Seattle. We're going to have over here from North Bank, Relevant, Recluse.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a really exciting lineup on Thursday, June 20th, Imperial Bottle Shop and Tap Room. But the whole beer week is shaping up really well. We got the Brewers Burger Brawl coming together.
Perfect.
As Ben mentioned earlier, and bring it back to the wrestling theme.
That's the big question. That's the big question.
Yeah, Snack Down, as Ben mentioned, is like a brewer chef pairing foodie event with the wrestling theme. But
It's a beer and
Ben
food
talk about
tag
that.
team event.
It is, yeah.
I'm excited for that to come back.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. We want to give a little bit of time here as we're getting down towards the end for some questions from some other folks that aren't here. Let's see.
Did you write these before?
We got here. No,
Before the show?
this
This
is
all
not
you?
from us at all. This is from
Are
the
these
folks
real Untapped reviews?
sitting out here. All right, we got a question here from Riss. Riss, come on up and ask this question. Come right over here, stand between me and Ezra. I got a microphone for you.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah,
So my question was for Ben. Does Gigantic have any future plans to release any more comic book based beers, specifically Dark Horse, like the Hellboy beers that were previously released? I liked those.
yeah, stay here because
Yeah. So, we don't have anything currently in the works with Dark Horse, but we are working with the Northwest Museum of Comic Arts, which is a nonprofit and a group that's hoping to start a comic arts museum in Portland. And so, yeah, it's awesome. So their goal right now, they have a Kickstarter campaign going right now, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, look up Northwest Museum of Comic Book Arts if you want to support. I'm sure you'll find their Kickstarter campaign. You can kick in some money, and they're looking to open up a comic arts museum at Lloyd Center to begin with, starting this fall.
Nice.
And run that they're hoping to run it for 6 months. But the long-term goal, of course, is to have a permanent museum of comic book arts. And so we're working, part of what we're doing and working with them is that if you put a certain amount of money into the Kickstarter, then you will get your face on a can of Gigantic beer that is drawn by local, very well-known comic book artists.
very
That's
cool.
very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You must be a comic book fan.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. What comic books do you nerd out on?
So obviously Hellboy, and I've not just read Hellboy, but also all the Ape Sapien comics and BPRD as well.
Yeah.
Big Dark Horse fan. I also am really into Saga. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, a lot of the Image comic books. What? Yeah, Tank Girl.
Tank Girl, yeah.
Yes, very into Tank Girl. Yeah, so a lot of Dark Horse, a lot of Image comic books.
Awesome.
Killer.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for submitting the question and playing along. We'll do one more. That's fun.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got in here. Got a question from Mike Perkins. Where's Mike Perkins? Mike Perkins, come on up here. Microphone right here. Mike's got a question. This question's for Ezra.
I wrote this before we obviously touched on brown ales for a very long time. But
Not
also-
enough. Keep going.
and Ben can answer it too, but because obviously Michael won't answer it. But what is your favorite brown ale you've had recently?
Man. I mean, too many to count, Mike. Let me tell you, how
All
much
the
time do you
Browns?
have? I don't know. I mean, I had a really nice one at Rubens Brews recently, a brewery that is strikingly relevant to the Washington beer scene.
And they make a brown ale.
Yes, they make brown ale.
Incredible.
Yeah, and then probably the aforementioned Falling
Inconceivable.
Sky Brown Ale. Yeah, I'm enjoying some of the. Actually, there was. I actually judged the category of brown ales at the Oregon Beer Awards. Too.
No way.
Yes, which I don't know if that was a coincidence.
A brown ale
or like
won the
somebody-
gold, right?
Ben Edmonds,
Or-
the
was it all brown
organizer,
ales? 'Cause it was like- it
is
was
trolling
catch-all,
you.
right?
Brown ale was the official champion beer style of the
Yeah,
Oregon Beer Awards. Yeah.
but it wasn't like the brown ale. It was like a. Yeah, it was, a few
It
things
was
there.
it was like a North American. I think it was classic North American styles category, but there was like half the beers in the category were like brown ales, and I judged it with Kevin Davey. So that was
So there was
fun.
like 6 beers in the category.
There was hundreds, if not thousands. Yeah.
All right.
And now on to me. Can I
Yeah.
have
Have
a
you
sip
had
of your beer?
Have you had a brown?
Oh, please. Tell me if it's better than I am or not.
You are better. You're much better.
Thank you.
It's a really good brown ale. It's a very good brown ale. That was the last can, wasn't it? God damn it.
There's actually one more. There's one more for Ezra to
nice,
take
yes.
home. So
It was funny. That question, though, I honestly, besides that, I don't remember the last time I had a brown ale.
Damn it.
and that's the correct answer. That's the answer we were looking for. No, it's funny. I've had a number of brown ales lately because of Ezra's trolling. My birthday and Ezra's are very close together, even the same year. We're born 10 days apart. So during my birthday, I happened to be in Astoria for Bridge and Tunnel's anniversary, and I had multiple people come up to me and what is it? You've seen getting iced. You've heard of that term and what that means. You get iced, and somebody gives you a Smirnoff Ice, and you got to chug it and whatever, right? Yeah, that's a different. Yeah. So a number of folks in Astoria said, "We're starting a new thing. It's called getting crapped on, and we just give you a brown ale." And so I've had a lot of brown ales in my life recently, actually. Mike, what have you had for brown ale recently?
You gonna sign up for that game? You gonna play?
I call it getting the brown eye.
There's
Getting the brown eye.
I was saying, yeah, there's a website for that. It's called fetlife.com.
It's a different thing.
I actually did have the Falling Sky one yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
2023 GABF winner.
Okay.
Yes.
Probably win again.
Yes, and it won both 2024 and 2023 Gold Oregon Beer Awards. Yes.
Okay.
Maybe you could learn something from Falling Sky.
Now, if they would just bring back the pastrami,
That's true. Wow.
we would actually
True.
go there.
There you go. All right. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for
you. Good
hanging
call,
out with
Mike. Good
us.
call.
Thanks for being here.
Tell me.
And yeah. I want to give a shout out to the Zeppelin crew who puts this whole thing together. This is produced by Zeppelin. That includes the Buck Dagger, Sean Burke, is behind the board. And the Zach of all trades, Zach Denton, is also back there doing the cameras and the mics and everything. Thank you, Ezra and Ben, for being here, being our guests. This was a lot of fun. Yeah. And our next live taping will be May 9th. And the show will come out shortly after that. You can look for this show on YouTube, hopefully as soon as tomorrow. And you can look for it on all of the streaming services, all the places you get your podcasts. Shortly thereafter, turns out as this being our inaugural show, there's likely to be a delay as we go through the approval processes of these different platforms. So thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for listening. Hope you had a good time. We had a good time. And that's it. That was Overthinkr.
Thanks for having us.